All right, and welcome to your fifth Algebra 2 and Algebra and Trigonometry class. So, like I mentioned in previous videos, for the time being, the Algebra 2 and Algebra and Trigonometry courses content is going to be the same. Very soon, I think by the end of this week or the beginning of the next week, we will start separating the content a little bit. But for today, what we're going to talk about is rewriting equations and formulas. So this is something that we basically do in algebra all the time. This is our bread and butter. And what we're going to do real quick is kind of review this concept. This is done a lot in science. This is also done a lot in other math classes. And rearranging an equation or formula is basically solving for a variable. It's solving for a particular variable. In this case, we're going to be solving for y, but we know that that depends on the type of formula that you have and what's being asked of you to do. So let's get started. The first problem that we have, they want us to solve for y, and when we're done doing that, we're supposed to evaluate the function. Okay, so the problem says 5x minus 11y equals 7. And if I want to solve for y, the first thing I want to do is get rid of the 5. So I'm actually going to subtract by 5x on both sides. And this is going to cancel out, right? And it's going to leave me with negative 11y equals 7 minus 5 over x. So all I did was I subtracted by 5 on both sides. This side cancels out. Since they're not like terms, I can't subtract them. And the next thing is to divide by negative 11. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Divide everything by negative 11 and everything by negative 11. So what's going to happen is that this side is going to cancel out, right? And that's going to be y equals negative 7 over 11. And what's going to happen here is that these two are going to cancel out, right? And they're actually it's not going to be plus 5x over 11. And that's it. I solved my variable for y. But the second part of this exercise is actually telling me to find the value of y when x equals 4. So all I'm going to do is just plug in 4 wherever there's an x and solve. Now, I know that you're thinking about, well, you know, negative 11 and 11 aren't the same. How is it possible that I can solve this equation or this rational expression or this fraction? It's because even though the 11 is negative, when you have a negative sign here, it applies to the entire fraction. So it's not positive 7 over negative 11. It's actually just negative 7/11. Like the negative sign applies to the entire fraction. So all you're going to do is say y equals negative 7 over 11 plus, and since we're going to find the value of y when x equals 4, we simply say, and we call this part A, and then we'll call this part B. Okay, so part A was this. Part B is to plug in 4. So again, we just rewrite our equation, but instead of having x, we're going to say 5 times 4 over 11, and that would be negative 7 over 11, or negative 7/11, which is the same thing, plus actually 5 times 4 is 20, so that would be 20 over 11, and negative 7 plus 20 is positive 13, so your answer is 13 over 11. So again, part A was just solving for y, because that's what they were asking me to do, and part B is to evaluate the expression. Now we're going to look at our last example here, which says 10x plus y equals 7, and then it says x equals 3. And we're actually going to do the same thing. We're going to solve for y at part A, and then our part B is just to plug in this case, the 3. So we're going to say part A would be 10x plus y equals 7. If I want to solve for y, all I have to do is subtract 10x, right? Because it's positive 10, so 10x minus 10x. This is going to cancel out. Y equals 7 minus 10x. And I did my part A, I just solved for y. Now my part B is just to plug in 3, okay? So B equals y equals 7 minus 10. But instead of saying 7 minus 10x, I change that into 7 minus 10 times 3. So y equals 10 times 3 is 30, and 7 minus 30 equals negative 23. So that is my answer, guys. So that's all we're going to do for this video lesson. It's really simple. It's really easy, short and sweet, to the point, just the way I like it. And I know a lot of math students do, without too much of, wording in between. What you're going to do now is, once you've seen this video, you're going to pause and rewind and go over the examples as many times as you need to. And then you're going to go to your math sharpeners, and you're going to do week 3, day 4, all right? So this is your 5th Algebra 2 and Algebra and Trigonometry class with me, of course, your favorite math teacher. And I hope you're enjoying your summer experience, so we'll see you soon. Bye.